It's my honor to rise to acknowledge an extraordinary young man who joins us here in the gallery today, accompanied by his parents and grandparents. Grandmother, I want to thank you also for your patience. It's been a very long session so far. But Brandon Guttmeyer lives in Congers, New York, in Rockland County. He is currently a sophomore at Siena College and works a summer job as a sailing coach at the Lake George Club. Throughout his childhood, he spent nearly every spring and fall weekend and almost every summer day in between sailing with his family in Lake George. On Thursday, August 1st of last year, around 12:30 a.m., Brandon was sound asleep after a long day at work at the Lake George Club. He awoke to the screams of his coworker, who barged into his room hysterical and pleading for help. In a daze, Brandon grabbed his flashlight and ran into the darkness towards the water. When Brandon got to the lake, he shined his flashlight across the water and spotted a lifeless body 10 to 12 feet down. A coworker named James, who was working the night shift, decided to take a dip and cool off with friends. James, who stood at 6'5" and over 250 pounds, was not a strong swimmer. When he began to struggle, his friends made several attempts to get him to safety, all for naught. When these attempts failed, they ran to help and get Brandon, who was only 6 foot and 140 pounds, and he dove right in, was able to get the much larger, now waterlogged coworker to the deck. James had turned blue and had no pulse. It was believed he had spent about 6 minutes at the bottom of the lake. Brandon and his friend Eric took turns performing CPR and doing chest compressions. After about 2 minutes, they got him to cough up the water, but he remained unconscious. James was barely alive when paramedics rushed him away, but he was still alive. He spent over a week in a coma, and his prognosis was grim, but he did wake up. He stunned doctors a month later when he was taken off a heart-lung machine. Still, a full recovery was thought to be unlikely, but that's exactly what happened. The decision to transfer James to Albany Medical Center right here and get him on the state-of-the-art equipment was a factor in his recovery. But if it were not for the heroic actions of Eric Van Auken and Brandon Guttmeyer, James would not have survived. The Liberty Medal is a symbol of courage given to a few New Yorkers who demonstrate acts of heroic and humanitarianism acts for others, and is the highest honor given to an individual by the New York State Senate. Brandon's quick thinking in the face of crisis not only demonstrates his resourcefulness, but also his courage during those critical moments on the docks. His bravery and perseverance serve as a strong representation of how we should all strive to act. I'm proud to call him a constituent, and it is with great honor that I present him with the New York State Senate resolution and Liberty Medal to Brandon Guttmeyer. And Mr. Speaker, please extend Brandon and his family with all of the courtesies of this great body. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Weber. To our guests, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of this House. Please rise and be recognized.